Welcome to the Mind versus Action journey, where every week I will share experiences, thoughts, and ideas on how you can go from thoughts in your mind to actually taking actions. Life is not formed by just what is in our mind, but by actually taking action on what is in our mind. It is not enough to simply hope, think, and wish. We must take action. My parents, they gave me a hard life, but because of that, it forced me to be who I am today. Many people wallow on the kind of life that they were given growing up, and in fact, most people use it as an excuse for who they are today. For me, as hard as my life was growing up, I decided to build on it. I used it to make me the person I am today. I made a conscious choice that I would never be a victim of circumstance, but rather a creator of my own destiny, forged by my own doing. My parents worked most of the time to supposedly give my siblings and I a better life, but that was far from the truth. We truly had a shitty life and barely made ends meet. I had to look out for myself and work for what I wanted. My life has been the way it is because of me, the good and the bad. After a certain point, you cannot keep blaming your parents or your past or your environment. As the saying goes, if you don't like where you are, move. You are not a tree. Life is hard in terms of nothing is given to us. And of course, we only make it harder ourselves by focusing too much on the materialistic things. Once we leave our parents' nest, we must work for what we want and fight for it. Some folks are ready for this fight and welcome it with a smile. Most adults, though, are scared to death about this reality. And this is where the difference comes in. Which one you fall into. A person who is at cause in his life knows that he creates his own destiny. He realizes that he is responsible for what his own actions may bring. A person who is a victim of life thinks that life happens to him. It's truly a mindset thing that makes a difference in how two different people interpret the exact same experience. As much as I wish I would have had better parents growing up, I didn't. As much as I wish I would have been given better opportunities by them, I was not. As much as I wish I would have gotten their support on the things that truly mattered, I was not. And as much as I wish I would have gotten the kind of love and affection that a child needs, I didn't. And I cannot change any of that. What I was able to do is to use it as a point of reference as to the kind of person I would never, ever be. I choose to be different. I chose to be different, to break that cycle, that chain. The truth is that the only thing I sometimes wonder is if my life would have been turned out different if my parents would have given me and really been better parents. I believe so. I really do. As I believe that given the right environment, people would just shine more when they have that doer mentality. But I also know that if anything would have been changed, I would not be who I am today, and I would not have the family that I have today, which I totally love and would not change for anything. I would relive every second of my upbringing the exact same way if it meant landing where I am today over and over again. This is what a lot of people don't realize, that if anything is changed in any part of what has happened in the past, it would also alter the future for good and possibly bad. And rather than focus on what could have happened, I believe it's better to focus on what is happening now and know that we have the power to alter what keeps happening to us by simply using the power we were given as humans, the power of choice, the power to write and live our own stories. You can't keep blaming your parents for the kind of life they gave you or the environment you grew up in. You can't keep blaming the government for the kind of life you have. You can't keep blaming your significant other for your happiness. Happiness is an inside job. You can't keep blaming your friends for not being the kind of friends you wish they were. You can't keep playing the blame game because you have the power to choose a different life and what happens to it. You are not a tree. Move, and move often until you find your right soil, your right sunlight. For me, growing up with that kind of life I grew up with made me who I am today. And I would not change a single thing about it, not one. What I have always done is taken full responsibility of my life ever since I was a child, and that alone is what has given me everything I have ever wanted, the power to shape my reality. Growing up with a hard life only made me stronger, more resourceful, more gracious. It made me have more fight in me. It instilled a kind of life stamina that most people don't believe is possible to have, but it is. We all have it if we look deeper and are willing to bring it out, and not just sometimes, but every time. We all have the power to use what was given to us and turn it into a strength of some sort. For me, growing up with that life, it made me truly a fighter, a survivor, and there is nothing life can throw at me that I cannot withstand and come out much more stronger than I was going in. Once again, as Jim Rohn said, if you don't like where you are, move. You are not a tree. You can change your outcomes. You can bend your reality as you see fit. Heck, even the trees change. They fight back. Ever seen a downed tree that is left alone? It brings itself back to life. It's time. It's time you bring yourself back to life and to that life you want. You can, you must. Please subscribe to my blog, podcast, or YouTube channel to get notifications when my weekly entry is posted. I promise I will never disappoint. Thank you. Until next time, I challenge you to own your thoughts, actions, process, results, and ultimately your life story. Most importantly, I challenge you to go from thoughts in your mind to taking actual actions on those thoughts, as nothing happens until actions are taken.